In this video session on bearing capacity of shallow foundation, I am going to cover the following topics. First one, different modes of shear failure. Then features of different kinds of shear failure such as general shear failure, local shear failure, punching shear failure. Then factors affecting bearing capacity and a numerical problem related to bearing capacity of shallow foundation. Different modes of shear failure, features of general shear failure, local shear failure, punching shear failure, factors affecting bearing capacity and numerical problem. Terzaghi identified about three different kinds or modes of failure depending upon the type of soil. We know that we have different kinds of soils such as fine grained soils, coarse grained soils, well graded soils, poorly graded soils, and then we have fairly soft or loose soils, compressible soils, highly compressible soils, moderately compressible soils, and also we have soils in stiff plains and highly elastic soils. So he identified three different modes of failure. The first one is general shear failure, then we have local shear failure and punching shear failure. Let us discuss about the various features of these different kinds of failure. And he has also given the corresponding based on the experimental data. He has also given the various graphs relevant to general shear failure, local shear failure and punching shear failure. The graphs on the right hand side will give you an idea about the load versus settlement and the point of failure on this curve. Let us discuss about the salient features of general shear failure. This type of failure takes place in the cases of coarse grained soils as well as in well graded soils. The general shear failure is characterized by, I will come back to that sketch. Yes. So with respect to general shear failure, we have a well-defined failure pattern. That means we can see the bulging of the soil or the swelling of the soil at the surfaces along with the radial and linear shear failure beneath the earth's surface. A sudden failure accompanied by tilting of the foundation takes place in cases of general shear failure. There will be bulging of ground surface adjacent to the foundation and which indicates that there is a distinct load at which foundation soil fails. Foundation failure is sudden and catastrophic with pronounced peak in load versus settlement curve. And ultimate load can be easily determined or located using the load versus settlement curve. Next, we have local shear failure. In case of local shear failure, we can have a moderately defined failure wedge or failure pattern. And this type of failure is most common in fairly soft or loose and compression soil. So we can have the following features like a well-defined failure pattern, slight bulging of ground surface adjacent to foundation, significant compression of the soil directly below the foundation, and the load versus settlement curve does not indicate the ultimate load clearly, which is possible in case of the general shear failure. Here we cannot determine exactly the failure point using the load versus settlement curve. Coming back to punching shear failure, this is most common in case of stiff plain and highly elastic soils, and the salient features of this mode are poorly defined shear planes, soil zones behind the loaded area bring the little affected. The soil zones beyond the loaded area will be affected. Significant penetration of wedge-shaped soil below the foundation will be there. The load versus settlement curve indicates a continuous increase in the settlement with increase in load, and as such we cannot determine the failure point. Ultimate load cannot be easily recognized. So I once again repeat one by one. In case of general shear failure, there will be a well-defined failure pattern. There will be a sudden failure accompanied by tilting of foundation. There will be bulging of ground surface adjacent to the foundation. It indicates that there is a distinct load at which foundation soil fails, and the failure, that is the foundation failure, is a sudden with pronounced peak in load versus settlement curve. Ultimate load can be easily located. So coming back to local shear failure, we have a well-defined failure pattern, slight bulging of the ground surface adjacent to the foundation, significant compression of the soil directly below the foundation. The load versus settlement curve does not indicate the ultimate load clearly. Next, lastly, we have punching shear failure, and this is common in case of this kind of failure is common in case of stiff plains and highly elastic soils. The salient features are the typical features of this failure mode are: it exhibits only poorly defined shear planes, soil zones behind the loaded area the soil zones behind the loaded area will be affected. There will be significant penetration of wedge-shaped soil below the foundation. The load versus settlement curve indicates a continuous increase in settlement with increase in load. Ultimate load cannot be easily recognized. So these are all some of the salient features of different kinds of shear failure. Coming back to the factors which affects the bearing capacity, we have the nature of the soil, its physical and engineering properties will affect the bearing capacity of that particular soil. Then nature of foundation and other details such as size, shape, depth below the ground surface as well as the water table and the rigidity of the structure will also affect the bearing capacity. So total and differential settlement, location of groundwater table relative to the level of foundation, initial stress at site if any. These are all some of the important factors that affects the bearing capacity. Let us solve one numerical problem in this video session, which is especially a comparison between the theoretical value of the cohesion and the uh, laboratory value of the cohesion of the soil. So I will look into the problem first. The problem goes like this. A large scale bearing capacity test on a footing of size 1.05 meter by 1.05 meter at a depth of 1.5 meter yield at an ultimate value of 141 kilonewton. Unconfined compression test on the soft saturated scale yield at a strength of 0.03 Newton per millimeter square. If the unit weight of soil is 16 kilonewton per meter cube, how much does the test value differ from that obtained using Terzaghis bearing capacity equation? The problem is like this. He has given the size of the footing as well as the depth, and the ultimate value is also given. And the unconfined compression test on the soft saturated scale yield at a strength of 0.03 Newton per millimeter square. That is the quasi strength. 0.03 is nothing but the quasi strength of that soil. When the density of or the unit weight of the soil is 16 kilonewton per meter, how much does this test value differ from that obtained using Terzaghis? So Terzaghis bearing capacity equation we have to use to calculate the value of the C theoretically, and that we have to compare with practical value, that is 0.03 as obtained from the laboratory test. So let us take up this problem in solving. Given size of the footing is a square footing. It is not particularly mentioned a large scale bearing capacity test on a square footing. So it is understood that the size means it is a square footing of the side, footing of side 1.05 meter, or in other words, if you consider it as a square footing, it is 1.05 meter by 1.05 meter. Okay. Depth of the footing is also 1.5 meter. Ultimate load QU is 141 kilonewton. The density of the soil is 16 kilonewton per meter cube, and the quasi strength or the yield strength is C, 0.03 Newton per millimeter square. Difference in C is what? Is the thing that is required to be determined in this problem. And we know that the ultimate bearing capacity QF is given by the ultimate load divided by the area. You substitute the value of QU, that is ultimate load 141, divided by the size of the footing 1.05 by 1.05, we will get the ultimate bearing capacity. So 127.89 Newton per millimeter square. This is the ultimate bearing capacity by considering the load and the area. Now, as per the Terzaghis equation, the ultimate bearing capacity QF is given by 1.3 CNC plus gamma DF NQ plus 0.4 gamma into B into N gamma. When we substitute all the values, like NC is 5.7 for a soft saturated clay, NQ becomes 1 and N gamma will be 0. That is a constant. That is NQ is 1, N gamma is 0, NC is equal to 5.7 for all soils with phi is equal to 0. So now substituting all these values on the right hand side of the equation, ultimate bearing capacity equation. So we will get 127.89, that is we are comparing the ultimate bearing capacity 127.89 as obtained earlier with that of the equation. Therefore 127.89 should be equated with the equation 1.3 C N C plus gamma df NQ plus 0.4 gamma B N gamma. So the third term becomes 0 and the second term will be equal to gamma df into NQ. So NQ is also 1 and as such it will be gamma into df, that is gamma is 18 into depth of the footing 1.5. So it will be equal to 1.3 CNC plus gamma df into NQ. Here what is the value of gamma? It is not 18, it is 16 in the problem. So it is given as 16. Unit weight of the soil is given as 16 kilonewton per meter cube. Okay. So now you substitute the values 1.3 into C, because we don't know C, that we have to calculate, and NC is 5.7 plus gamma is 16 and depth of the footing is 1.5, that is df, NQ is 1 and the last term is 0. So from which we can calculate the value of C. C equals 14.02 kilonewton per meter square, and as per the results we have, this is the laboratory results. C is 0.03 Newton per millimeter square as given in the problem. That is nothing but C is equal to 0.03 into 10 to the power of 6 divided by 10 to the power of 3. If you do that one, it will give you 30 kilonewton per meter square. You convert just 0.03 Newton per millimeter square to kilonewton per meter square, it works out to be 30. Then the question is, how much value does this differ from the Terzaghi's equation? So now according to the laboratory result, the value of C obtained is 30, and as per Terzaghi's equation, theoretically we got C is equal to 14.02. So the test value differs by, you take the difference of these two divided by the 30 laboratory value multiplied by 100, we will get 53.2667. So approximately it will be equal to 53.27%. So the difference of the test results with that of the value obtained using Terzaghi's equation differs by 53.27%. Thank you.